Hello viewers, yes, this is Ranjana ma'am and you are watching Yes, it's mine as well as your channel. And today I know the thumbnail says it all. Yes, it's strange meeting. And who's the poet? None other than the famous anti-war poet Wilfred Owen. Wilfred Owen, I think you need to know a little about this young poet who died at the altar of war. So he was a young soldier who had been fighting in the World War I, First World War, 1914 to 1918. He was injured in the war and was in hospital. And after he recovered, he came and joined the war again. And he was known as the poet of the trenches. Why? Because while waiting in the trenches for his enemy, he would write these poems. And the tragedy is that he died just 1 week before the peace treaty was signed. So had he lived one more week, he would have survived and would have lived a fruitful life. So Wilfred Owen's poems, they make a deep impact on people. What he had tried to uphold was the futility of war and the loss of young lives at the altar of war. The young lives, in one of his poem, Anthem for the Doomed Youth, he compares the young soldiers to the cattle taken to be sacrificed at the altar. So they are like cattle being led to the altar of war to be sacrificed. So this poem is one of the best known poems written by Wilfred Owen, Strange Meeting. So what happens? The speaker or the narrator finds himself in a deep dark tunnel. And then as he is probing the dead bodies which are lying in front of him, one of them suddenly gets up. And then what happens? Yeah, but before we proceed, don't forget the like button after you have gone through the video, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. So now let's get back to the poem. It seemed that out of battle I escaped, down some profound dull tunnel, long since scooped, through granites which titanic wars had groined. So through this, what is the narrator trying to tell us? That as if he had escaped, that means he had desperately tried to get out of the war. He had escaped from the war, and where had he landed? Where had he landed? He was in a tunnel. He had taken refuge in a tunnel. The tunnel was dull tunnel. That means that it was a gloomy tunnel. And this tunnel had been dug maybe centuries ago, many years ago, long since scooped through granites which titanic wars. So titanic wars, maybe he is referring to the ancient wars of the past. So this tunnel had been probably scooped at that time. So a very old tunnel, and he finds himself there. Yet also there encumbered sleepers groaned, too fast in thought or death to be stirred. So he finds there also a lot of sleepers. That means he refers to dead soldiers. And since they are dead, they cannot be moved. Whatever happens, they cannot move. They have as if become numb. Then as I probed them, one sprang up and stared with piteous recognition in fixed eyes. So as he is examining the bodies, and what happens? One of them, so he as if springs to life, and then he stared at the narrator or the speaker with the expression in his eyes of recognition and piteous recognition. That means he recognizes the narrator in a sad way. So there is a sad expression of recognition in the eyes of the dead soldier who springs to life. Lifting distressful hands as if to bless, and by his smile I knew that sullen hall. By his death smile I knew we stood in hell. So this dead soldier, what does he do? He lifts up his hand in a distressful manner as if he is trying to bless. Why? Because the dead soldier knows something which this narrator doesn't know. And in spite of that, he tries to put up his hands in the way as if he is blessing the narrator. Why? Because in death, he doesn't carry on the enmity after death. So he is an enemy soldier, and the speaker is a British soldier. Okay, so the speaker or the narrator is a British soldier, and this soldier is an enemy soldier, but still he puts up his hands as if he is blessing him, to show that he has not carried that enmity here. And when he smiles at the narrator as if realizes that we are both dead and we are in hell. With 1,000 fears that vision's face was grained, yet no blood reached there from the upper ground, and no guns thumped or down the flues made moan. So he says that the face of the dead soldier seemed to be frightened. So he feels, why are you frightened? Because in this tunnel, no signs of war was witnessed. Like, what could be the signs of war? Blood, the sound of guns, moaning of the dead or the injured soldiers, nothing. But the face of this man showed a lot of fears. So, what can you conclude? That war not only harms you physically, harms a person physically, but leaves a permanent mental scar or a psychological scar on the person. Strange friend, I said, here is no cause to mourn. None, said the other, save the undone years, the hopelessness. So the narrator calls the dead soldier a friend, because in death there is no discrimination. You are an enemy and I am a friend. You are all soldiers belonging to the soldier fraternity. So the narrator addresses him as a friend and says, strange friend, here is no cause to mourn, here is no cause to feel sad, here is no cause to mourn. So what does the dead soldier reply? None, said the other, save the undone years, the hopelessness. No, there is no cause to mourn, other than the fact that our lives have been nipped in the bud. The years which we could have lived a full life, but it has been cut short. And the hopelessness which follows on not being able to lead a full life. Young people, and they have died. So this is the cause for mourn. I am not mourning because of the battle and all these things. I am mourning because of my unfulfilled life. Whatever hope is yours was my life also. I went hunting wild after the wildest beauty in the world, which lies not in calm eyes or braided hair, but mocks the steady running of the hour. So then he tries to be explicit. He says that you also had hopes of leading a better life, a life full of happiness as well as sadness. Yeah, because life is not permanently happy or permanently sad. It's not completely happy or sad. So life is a mixture of happiness and sorrows. So whatever hopes you had, even I had those hopes. My life was also similar to your life, whatever aspirations. I went hunting wild, so even I was in search of beauty. Beauty, by beauty, he doesn't mean the physical or outer beauty of a person, which lies not in calm eyes or braided hair, but mocks the steady running of the hour. So he was running after the beauties of life, the beautiful moments of life. And if it grieves, grieves richlier here, richlier than here. So this is why he is grieving. And why is he grieving richlier than here? Because he realizes that he will never be able to enjoy the beauty of life again. That is why he is grieving. He realizes utter hopelessness. For by my glee many men have laughed, and of my weeping something had been left which must die now. I mean the truth untold. So he says that my happiness might have made people happy. With my happiness, I might have made people happy. With my sadness also, of my shedding tears also, shedding tears regarding the truths which are untold. Why? Because he has died. So he if he had survived the war, he could have gone back and told the truth to the people about the lies they are fed with and the deception that is in war. But he could not do it. I mean the truth untold, the pity of war, the pity war distilled. So this is what he would have done had he survived and gone home. But no, he could not, because he is dead. Now men will go content with what we spoiled, or discontent boil bloody and be spilled. Yeah. So now after the war, the people will enjoy the spoils. They will be happy with what they have gained. The blood they have spilled, they might be happy with their gains, or if they are not satisfied, they will be bloody. They will be boiling with desire for revenge and would want more blood to be spilled. They will be swift with the swiftness of tigress. So tigress, swiftly they pounce upon their prey. These are said to be predatory animals. So these nations which are warmongers, these warmongering nations, they will be waiting for, like the tigress waits for an opportunity to pounce on its prey. In the same way, these nations will not be contented. They will not rest contented with what they have got. They will be in the lookout for another opportunity to jump to the occasion, to spill more blood. See, suppose a treaty has been made and the war comes to an end. So if you are happy, you will go on with your spoils. If the treaty you have been forced to sign, but you are not happy with it. So like a tigress who is waiting for an opportunity to maybe to catch a deer or a small animal, in the same way these nations will be in the lookout for another opportunity to start a fresh war. None will break ranks, though nations trek from progress. So no one will have the guts to oppose war. None will break ranks. Even if nations, they go backward because of the war. One war and one step backward in progress. Because when a country is involved in war, the progress comes to a standstill. Why? Because all your focus is on the war and how to win it. So where is the time to think about progress? A nation can only progress when there is peace. Courage was mine and I had mystery. Wisdom was mine and I had mastery. To miss the march of this retreating world into vain citadels that are not walled. So he says that he was a courageous person. Yet that courage is of no use now that he has died. He was clever, wise person. He had control and he knew, he had realized the truths of war. And so he feels, what does he mean by vain citadels that are not walled? So the nations, they engage in fortifying themselves and they feel, oh, we are safe. But these citadels are not enough to protect you. So they invest their money in making themselves strong against attack. So vain citadels that are not walled. So the citadels are there and they are not walled. That means any time an attack might come, inviting attack. Then when much blood had clogged their chariot wheels, so yes, after a lot of war and bloodshed, when maybe they are exhausted, then what does the dead soldier wish to do? I would go up and wash them from sweet wells. Wash the, as if that means he would try to purify the chariot wheels with water. Water here he refers to the truths regarding war. And from where will he try to feed the world with truths? Even with truths that lie too deep for taint. So the truths which are too deep, and they will be buried under the dead soldiers. I would have poured my spirit without stint, but not through wounds, not on the cess of war. So yes, he says that he would have poured his spirit, he would have used his spirit, but not through the wounds received in the war, not as a heavy price paid in the war. Foreheads of men have bled where no wounds were. Yeah, so you might not be physically injured, but war leaves maybe a permanent scar in your psychological state, in your mental state, and which may be more harmful than physical injury. I am the enemy you killed, my friend. And then he reveals why that piteous recognition was in his face when he had seen the speaker for the first time. So he says that yes, you are the one who killed me. And yet he has no animosity in his voice. He says, my friend, I knew you in this dark. So in this dark tunnel also I could identify you. Why? You frowned yesterday through me as you jabbed and killed. So while you attacked and killed me, you frowned in this way. I parried. So he tried to resist, but my hands were loath and cold. So he tried to resist, but his hands did not rise up to the occasion, and he died. And now he invites the sleeper also, that let us sleep now. That means we are on equal terms, and now let us go to sleep. No more disturbances, no more fights, no more battles for us. So let us sleep in peace. So this is where the poem ends. And yes, for the title, so the title, as I was saying, strange meeting. So what do we understand by strange? Something which is not normal, something bizarre. And meeting means an encounter. So strange meeting, we can sum it in this way, a bizarre encounter. And why? Why does the poet give this title? Because the meeting of two soldiers, dead soldiers in hell, it is actually in tunnel, and later he says it's hell. One is the enemy soldier, that means while they were alive, they had fought on different sides, and one was the person who had killed the other, and they come face to face. So that is why it's a strange meeting. And not only that, the setting of the meeting also, just see, it is a deep, dim tunnel. There is hardly any light, a sense of semi-darkness, or rather darkness. So that is why even the narrator says that he knew that they were in hell. So the hell setting is as if that of hell. Hell is supposed to be dark. And then, in order to escape the horrors of the battle, the speaker comes and lands in this tunnel, where he finds a lot of soldiers who have already died. And then this soldier springs up to life, as if confronts him, recognizes him. So there is a personal connection. Why? Because this man identifies the speaker to be someone who had killed him the previous day. But at the same time, we notice that there is no enmity. We don't find any animosity in the words of the dead soldier. So death is a great leveler. So between the hunter and the hunted, between the enemy and the foe, so there is no discrimination. So this is why I think that we can say that this title of the poem is quite appropriate. Why? Because see, you will have to prepare on the title, the theme, about the poet. Why? Because you all are getting some note type of questions to write, 5 marks, 10 marks. So not the extract questions you have been doing in your ICSE. Okay, so that is why you need to know this, the difference. Maybe if you can compare this with another poem of Owen, when you are getting something about anti-war poems, so you can compare to another poem of his. So these make an impact on or create a good impression on the examiner. And then critical analysis also, go through the critical analysis. Why? Because you might get something of this. Write a critical appreciation of your poem and the marks may be 10 marks. So in critical appreciation, what are the things you have to give importance to? It's not that you are writing the whole poem there. It will be the poem will be a part of your answer. Then you are talking about the author. If you can find any comparison, you will write that, and what are the figures of speech that are used. So all this together make a complete package, and that is your critical appreciation. So this poem, we find it, Strange Meeting, to be quite a poem which is thought provoking. Why? Because it exposes the horrors of war, the brutalities of war. It is a first-hand report of the war coming straight from the battlefield, from someone who is fighting it. Regarding themes, there are several themes, but the most important or the striking theme, which we can say is the central theme, is the horrors of war. Because throughout the poem, don't you find the horrors of war being referred to again and again through the words of the dead soldier? And even in the beginning, when the narrator or the speaker finds in front of him so many dead soldiers lying. So the horrors of war has been highlighted. And I have been telling you that Wilfred Owen's motive was not to glorify war, but to point out the brutality that is involved in war, the deception and lies in war. He had wanted to expose it. Then another theme could be the desire for peace. See why? Because we find in the end, and the dead soldier, he tells the narrator that let us sleep now. And not only that, whenever he says about the truths untold and he regrets, we find that he wants, rather he is unhappy that he has not been able to go and tell the people about the realities of war, about the truths of war. What are the truths of war? Truths of war is that there is no glory in it. War gives us nothing but takes a lot from us. So this is what if he had survived, he would have gone and told the people, so that they don't engage in future wars. So the desire for peace is there, and also in the last stanza we find the desire for peace. So I think I have done my job, and after that, if you still have any queries, you can write in the comment section and I'll answer them. Bye.